Muslims generally, I don't believe that traditionalist Muslims in particular have that much of a voice in the media, frankly. If you look at the channels that are on Sky Digital that are kind of Muslim-specific channels that try and promote religious or traditionalist religious narrative, they're very few in number. And in fact, they're not that effective in terms of reach. So what we found is that social media, and especially going to places like Speaker's Corner and then filming that to go on social media, is one of the most effective ways wherein we are able to kind of combat some of the misconceptions and come to common terms with people that are religious and a-religious, atheist, agnostic, wherever they may be. And what we found in the course of doing this, frankly, is that by discussing controversial topics and trying to redress people's grievances and trying to combat people's misconceptions, that tolerance is actually promoted. And from my reading, I think there are many studies, Hess and Gatt and others, which actually promote in a classroom setting that when controversial topics are discussed, that tolerance is promoted, because it kind of takes the elephant out of the room, if you like. And so one of the main principal reasons for coming to Speaker's Corner and speaking on a Muslim perspective is to promote that tolerance, if you like, and to try and come to common terms with people and promote coexistence.
Growth that it's had online, you know, some videos have like millions of views, for instance. Just like what you're saying, just avoiding the connection. Do you think that's doing something for people in terms of this is somewhere they can go online and really challenge their views, even if they don't come on there?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I worked as an educator for some time, and what I realized is that people need to be stimulated. And with Speaker's Corner, aside from being very historic in its being, something else is that it's very entertaining, because you get people from opposing kind of backgrounds discussing controversial topics, and what that does is it creates a buzz online. As you've mentioned, I mean, it creates videos which go viral. So it's an easy way to entertain people and educate people at the same time. So that's my perspective on the issue. Yeah.
In terms of the term freedom of speech, how do you perceive it, and how important is it to somewhere like Speaker's Corner?
Freedom of speech, Voltaire famously said, I despise what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Now, I'll be honest with you, from a Muslim traditionalist perspective, I can't say that I'm a free speech absolutist, and I think that would be a contradiction for me to say that I am a free speech absolutist. I believe that certain things in civilized societies ought to be restricted. For example, child pornography, or hate speech, or even if someone were to publish the information of a poison gas, I think that should be restricted. Plagiarism, copyright, trademarking, there are many things which by necessity, by economic, political, social necessity, are restricted by the state. And so I'm not a free speech absolutist, but in terms of free speech, I do believe, as J.S. Mill would argue, that for the pursuit of truth, you need to be able to question. And so Speaker's Corner is really an emblem for that. It's emblematic of that very proposition, if you like. If you really want to believe, if you really want to seek the truth, then you must be able to challenge your own ideas. You must be able to put your ideas on the firing line, on the front line, and soak up the criticism and be able to respond to that criticism. We have an Islamic scholar called Imam al-Shafi'i, who is a very well-noted Islamic scholar, who said that I've never debated with someone, I've never conversed with someone, I've never discussed with someone, except that I've wanted the truth to be from his mouth. Either be from me convincing him, or from him convincing me of it. But it's that spirit of trying to truth-finding, truth-seeking, which my opinion, couches this precept of freedom of speech.
And then if I can just ask you as well about the term freedom of speech being used by groups like Tommy Robinson, and how you perceive that from else.
Yes. Well, I will tell you that I believe that groups like the EDL and figures like Tommy Robinson I believe that what they're doing by using terms like freedom of speech is propagating a far-right agenda, which really and truly is a nationalistic agenda. It's a nationalistic agenda which is white separatist, in my view, and assimilationist as well. And that is, I would say, it runs not in contradistinction, but in complete contradiction with things like freedom of speech. If you look at things like what Tommy Robinson has suggested, he said we should not build mosques in Britain. How can that be in line with freedom of expression and freedom of speech? It wouldn't be. And the idea is that just saying that you believe in freedom of speech so that you can have the freedom to offend a minority group is not enough. Because in fact, if we're looking at all of the post-Enlightenment philosophies, things like freedom of speech being one of them, democracy being another one, liberalism with a small l being a third, you'll find that actually tyranny of the majority is something which was warned against by the likes of J.S. Mill, by the likes of Tocqueville, by the likes of Voltaire. And so therefore, if you really want to be consistent with post-Enlightenment philosophy and you want to be consistent with these notions, then you have to allow for minorities to exist, and you must actually in fact go further than that and promote their rights. And I think what you're doing, Channel 4 is doing now, by giving and amplifying the voices of Muslim minority groups, is in fact exactly in line with those precepts, which I don't believe Tommy Robinson actually believes in. He's had to go down that line in order to become more marketable for more mainstream audience. Yeah? Thank you. When's it coming up?
Sunday.
I don't have a TV at home.
Oh yeah, I'll be online. So,
I'll be online?
Yeah. I'm not much of a TV man.
Okay, sure. You just send me a message when it's on.
Yeah.
My number, yeah?
Yeah, no.
Just send me a message saying it's online. Because I don't have a TV.
Either do I.
What's your name?
James.
James, nice to meet you. Should I talk about when I got beaten up by the people?
I already talked to Ali about it, so...
I got beaten though. He's a beaten.
Yeah,